Okay, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The topic at hand for us today is significant ways both written and spoken English should be taught differently at university level. And introducing you to our group members, I'm Afra Asfar, he is Amila Prianga, Yuari Anali, Derek Pereira and Shabiha Siraj. As part of our topic, we will be dealing with the following contents for today. Priyanka will be introducing to you what language is in both written and spoken aspects. I will be talking to you about the written and spoken languages, the differences faced between the written and spoken languages. Derek will be introducing to you the problem at hand that we are facing today and the responsible parties for it. I will then introduce to you our analysis based on a survey that we conducted. Anali will be sharing with you some of the strategies that are followed by universities currently in order to uplift both written and spoken language. Shabiha will then introduce to you some of the drawbacks and the solutions in relation to those strategies that Anali will be sharing with you today. Finally, as our conclusion, Derek will introduce to you some of the new strategies that we as a team came up with in order to elicit English language. Amila, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. So moving on to the presentation, first I would like to give an introduction to the language in a nutshell. So as you can see here, language is basically a formalized form of speech. The language grammar is its structure, while its vocabulary is its free-form elements. Further, this language segregates human beings apart from all other living creatures in the world. Every nation has a language adapted to match their cultures in order for them to convey information. So in fact, it is unique to all humans and is difficult to imagine a human world without a language. And it consists of literature, politics, cultural diversity, and even everyday interactions. And so as well as there are more than 7,000 languages in the world, and among them, English is the most widely and commonly spoken language in the world. So moving further, we can divide this language into two main parts. The first one is written language and the other one is spoken language. So when we refer to the written language, we can say it is the language present in the form of text. Can either be a message, text, or a form of new knowledge. Newspaper articles, memos, reports, emails are some of examples where language is mostly used. And then when it comes to the grammatical intricacy of the written language, it's typically more structured and highly complex and more elaborate. And further, it has a high amount of content words when compared to the total number of words. Then when it comes to the uses of the written language, it's more effective when you need to convey very complex information with less need for interactions with the audience. So moving on to the second part, spoken language is what you hear and use in order to converse with one another verbally. As stated in an article by Mark Aronoff 100 years ago, there were only several nations that had a written language, but at the same time, every nation had its completely performing spoken language. So that means spoken language is more subconscious, and in fact, children get exposed to their first language, they are going to easily and naturally acquire the spoken language of that specific language. So likewise, language has its own kind of nature in all forms. And in conclusion, we can say, in order to master language, we must be fluent in both written and spoken areas, as they both go hand in hand.
Okay, here are some of the differences that I will be dealing with based on written and spoken English. When we take emotion, in written language, emotion is just a prediction. For example, literature is a very good example in that, because when we read a literary document, it's a prediction that we are just predicting what the author is trying to tell us, or the poet. But when it's spoken, the emotion is naturally identifiable. Like I can identify what the other person is trying to tell me, whether he or she is sad or happy, and so on. Some of the examples where we come across written languages in academic writing, CV writing, And some of the spoken language examples are interviews and presentations like what we are doing today. Written language is most often structured, whereas spoken language is unstructured. Written language is universally uniform, whereas in spoken language there is an accent present. For example, if I take the word banana, the British say it as banana, but the Americans say it as banana. But both, when we write it as B-A-N-A-N-A. Okay? And moving on, here are some of the challenges we face when it comes to both written and spoken language. Academic writing, CV writing, technical writing, report writing, that is like lab reports, and bank statements. These are some of the challenges we face when it comes to written language, because all these are done in English. In spoken language, when we face an interview, a presentation, Viva sessions, all of those are some of the challenges we face when it comes to spoken language. And I now hand it over to Derek to show you what our problem at hand today is and the responsible parties.
Thank you, Afra. Good afternoon to you all. I'm Derek Pereira. So let me give you a brief about the problem. Okay. The problem is why government university students are facing problems with their language at universities. So they don't directly come to universities, they come first. And there are 4 skills, as all of you know, namely listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So we are focusing only 2 productive skills, speaking and writing. So students directly don't come to the university, they come from the school. Okay, so when we look at the school syllabus, so they learn about 13 years in school and then only come to university. And when they were asked to do a presentation, so some students I have noticed starting the presentation, today I am talk about like that. Okay, but then when they go to a tuition class, after 1 year's time they produce language. So there should be a problem. Okay, and our colleagues who represented the group 2, they actually played the video of a real classroom scenario, and the teacher taught what is suffixes and prefixes, and as students they gave the answers. I don't think it is not advanced level, not ordinary level also, maybe grade 8, 9 or 10. That means at that point they know what is suffix and what is prefix, what is suffixes. Okay, and that suffix part comes at B2 level, Common European Framework Reference, B2. So 2 more steps to go. That means independent learner. So there should be a flow. They should be very confident in their writing and speaking. So but that doesn't happen. That means there is a problem at school education system. Second party is there are 2-3 parties: zonal education officers, provincial education officers, because they are the ones who appoint teachers and decide questionnaires and evaluation methods. Okay, and also UGC, University Grant Commission, because they are contributing a part of policy making. Okay, and finally Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education represents the government. Okay, Sri Lanka was ruled by foreign nations, and it was until 1952 English was the official language. So I have seen birth certificates who has been born before 1952. Those are written in English. Okay, so that means they are also responsible to some extent. Right. So I would like to ask Afra to come and explain to you the survey details. We did the survey and she will explain you the survey details.
So we as a team came up with a questionnaire, and the topic at hand was importance of written and spoken English language at university level. And when we were preparing this questionnaire, we had a few points that we were focusing on. We made questions where each one of us agreed upon. We were considering on the gender, the target population. We then made comparisons based on all of them, and finally conclusions were drawn. So, as part of our survey, our main focus was to send it to undergraduates from state-owned universities. Like you can see, we have from the University of Jaffna, Colombo University, the Rajarata University, and so on. So here you can see that there are students belonging to all three streams in this. You can see that there are students belonging to all three language streams, and you can see that they are fluent also in all three. So there was not just one main language that they were focusing on. And we asked them if they had the option to choose their field of study at university level in their mother tongue, would they have opted? And you can see that 93.3% said no. And we all know that it should not be that way. So why they told us that they don't want to opt to study in their mother tongue is because they need to compete with the global context, which is why they study, why university level education is in English. And if they have a chance to apply to international jobs, that is also in English. And you can see that they say English is the commonest language worldwide. So we asked them that if they are at university level, do they come across language barriers? And you can see that 46.7% say no, but that is also like almost majority say that they do come across. Because all interviews are in English, the global industry operates in English, and that is English is the only way which will make them easy to interact with the world. We then as a team thought we need to ask them if English language should be introduced as an introductory language to whatever faculty they belong to. And you can see here that almost majority say that yes, they agree that that English language as an introductory language needs to be introduced, and it will benefit them. 66.7% says that it will benefit them if English is introduced. We asked them if English language subject is adequate to overcome these language barriers at universities, and you can see that they say no. Finally, as a concluding question, we asked them if they believe that a language barrier does exist and national schools do not perform their role, what do they think ideally should have taken place in schools in order to overcome the language barriers that exist? These are some of the answers that they gave. They said that the parties responsible, like what Derek mentioned previously, need to ask the learners what they think they need to include in their education. And they also, you can see that most of them say that they need to focus on reading and speaking skills, which is not focused on. Like once again, like Derek mentioned, it is just the subject content that is given to students, given to learners at school. They learn everything. For 13 years, they learn the entire language, like almost everything, all the grammar, everything. But when it comes to delivery, that is something most of them lack in. Delivery, reading, those are some of the main things that they need to have, but they lack in those. They also said that subjects like science, math, maths, commerce, IT should be taught in English. In that point, we feel like when they come into A-levels, they need to select their stream in the English stream. So you can see that most of them select it in either Tamil or Sinhala in their mother tongue. But whereas when they get into university, they are all done in English. So if that practice is given at the when they are at the A-level level, then we feel like they would be more, they would feel more interacted, they will feel more easy to communicate when they get into A-levels. If not, they don't understand what they are teaching. So it's like the first year is basically they are trying to understand the language, which is a big drawback that we feel as a team. We asked them whether they are happy with the Sri Lankan education system. So I would ask you, are you happy with the Sri Lankan education system? Yes, Shazia.
Depends whether it's whether it's government based or private based. So private, of course, I see that most of us will agree that it's good and there's a curricula that they go on with. But university, yes, maybe no.
Anyone else? Yes, Yusra.
Just as Shazia said, I think I have the same opinion. University level, it's definitely a no. I don't see that they follow a proper scheme or syllabus like. I mean, it's very random and very general. Unlike maybe private schools where they follow the Cambridge or Edexcel syllabus, I think they follow a better module or a better scheme of work and a better syllabus for the students.
Thank you very much. So here again you can see that if it's a private school, it's only the ones who can afford it go to schools like that, and the ones who can't fall into the government school category. So there you can see that most of the people are just left behind in that track, whereas the education system as a whole is not playing its part because they're leaving behind a few and taking the rest forward. Yes, I now invite Anali to share with you some of the present strategies followed by universities in order to uplift both written and spoken language.
Thank you, Afra. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm here to introduce to you all about the present strategies followed by the universities in order to uplift the both written and spoken languages. In written languages, conducting placement tests. It is a great strategy when it comes to evaluating students. It tests the students' academic skill levels. Assistance of ELTU, which means English Language Teaching Unit, involving students to ELTU, which offers a wide range of English language study skills to improve their formal writing. It is responsible for teaching English to the students in undergraduates of all faculties. Also, it was appointed as a university level coordinator for improving English skill. Conducting essay writing competitions, it helps the examiners to test the ability of the students to express his thoughts in general and impressive English. When it comes to spoken language, conducting projects and group works, this strategy can be applied in classroom in various formats. It helps to work greatly on improving English communicative competence in terms of grammatical competence and strategic competence. Introducing clubs and societies. Usually this strategy used in universities to improve the interpersonal and communication skills in students. As an example, Rotaract clubs and Toastmasters. Mostly in Toastmasters, they focus on the leadership qualities and the communication skill of the student. It is one of the best strategy to improve English in universities. Encouraging participation to celebrate different days. As an example, English Day. We celebrated it on 23rd of April. It plays an essential role in students of university level. So these are the strategies that followed by universities to uplift the spoken and written language.
So good afternoon, everyone. So I will talk about the drawbacks we saw when we were going through when we came up with the strategies that the universities use in order to uplift the written and spoken language. So first is threat of making mistakes and fear of criticism. So that happens when the learners are often inhibited trying to use a foreign language in the classroom. thirdly, we have classroom dominance. That is when learners, when a talkative or a brilliant student may dominate the classroom and if the domination is maintained, still there will be enough sufficient time for the others to talk. And thirdly, we have convenience and safe sticking to the mother tongue. So learners often use easy and comfortable and safe. They feel it's comfortable and safe using their mother tongue when it comes to any discussion or discussion regarding the lesson or regarding the subject matter. So to avoid misunderstanding and the fear of criticism, they tend to use their mother tongue, and which in turn becomes a barrier in communication. So deficiency in the speed of speech, that happens when students are not familiar with the colloquial language. So the overuse of gap fillers and hesitation markers may cause a deficiency in the speed. And then and also we saw that the lack of vocabulary and appropriate vocabulary grammatical patterns cause them not reduce the speed of their delivery in speech. Therefore, they hesitate to continue with their speech.
And then we have difficulties in managing rhythm, intonation while communicating, and insufficient time period to grasp the language.
So that is English is termed as a stress timed language. So the students they need to manage stress and intonation in their speech, where majority of the non-native speakers find it difficult. And then grasp the language won't happen overnight. So we saw that because of lack of vocabulary, and also because they are not very confident in speaking, because of that the duration restricted for the course or the course will not be sufficient for them to master the language. So they end up leaving without the proper knowledge of the language. And the solutions are widening the opportunities and facilities. That is, we give the children can be given the opportunity to study their goal subjects after O-levels in English. So that, for example, if the student wants to study medicine, the student can take the sciences in English, so that it will be easy for the student. And next, like Anjali mentioned, introducing clubs and societies like Toastmasters and the Rotaract clubs can give a positive form of encouragement to the learners, so that and also however not all do participate, but the universities and the colleges have to find ways to motivate and make them participate in all the extra activities, and also provide adequate exposure to learning, that is to give them access to different angles of learning, so that they will incorporate what they learn in practical scenarios.
Thank you, Shabia. I'm going to list down and explain you one by one what are the proposed strategies to address this issue. So, like Shabia and Afra mentions, we can apply content and language integrated learning. That means, for example, students select economics and he studies in English medium. So he learns English and economics at the same time. Second one is, there are some notices at the university notice boards, so they can publish all the notices in English. And third is announcement, so morning announcements, special announcements, all the announcements in English. And like Anjali mentioned, there are clubs, Toastmasters club, Rotary clubs. So what the authorities can do is to encourage and make it compulsory to join at least one club. And partnership, another strategy is partnership with foreign universities. The best example, PIM, Postgraduate Institute of Management. They are having partnerships with universities in Germany, Netherlands, Hong Kong, etc. And there are some satellites, so satellite TVs at famous public places like canteen and dormitory and like that. So what they can do is the authorities can restrict only to English channels to appear only. And finally, the proficiency test. So there are proficiency tests at the entrance, but what they can universities can do is to implement it at each stages. So let me give us upfront comment to the presentation.
Language is the biggest barrier to human progress because language is an encyclopedia of ignorance. All perceptions are frozen into language and force us to look at the world in an old-fashioned way. With that, we conclude our presentation for today. Thank you and have a great day.